I possess an innate sweetness that envelopes me. However, the campus belle, who has transitioned from another major, claims it to be the scent of artificial fragrance, rather unpleasant. The childhood friend beside me immediately adopted a frosty demeanor, furrowing his brow as he said, "Indeed, it is quite overwhelming. Xiaojiji, perhaps you should change your seat." I found myself relocated to the back row, right next to the most formidable bully in the entire school. Subsequently, the bully cornered me in the corridor, inhaling deeply, only to be interrupted by my childhood friend. He abruptly crumpled the soda can in his hand, his eyes ablaze with rage as he ground out, "Xiaojiji, I will count to 3, and you better come over here, damn it." I have always considered myself intellectually challenged, while Fu Huai excels as the top student in our entire department. Despite my repeated failures to grasp the material, he would often reassure me, saying, "Xiaojiji, it's perfectly fine to be a bit slow. If it comes to it, I'll support you." There was never any hesitation in his declaration, and he spoke with such conviction that it drew the envious gazes of our classmates, eliciting a chorus of teasing whispers. Embarrassment washed over me, and my cheeks flushed with indignation. "Fu Huai, I am fully capable of learning on my own. I don't require your support." With that, I took my error notebook and began to diligently study on my own. It was undoubtedly challenging, yet with time and effort, I believed I could succeed. However, my classmates had already entwined Fu Huai and me in their minds. Thus, when the campus belle, who had transferred to our major, approached and confidently tapped on Fu Huai's desk, asking if she could sit beside him, I could feel the weight of their whispers surrounding me. "Look at how Fu Huai gazes at Bai Wei. It's hardly innocent. I wager he'll acquiesce. He would undoubtedly agree." Bai Wei was not only beautiful but also academically gifted, having competed alongside Fu Huai in mathematics competitions. What did I, Xiaojiji, have to offer in comparison? Merely my ample bosom? Ha ha ha. The poor childhood sweetheart was destined to be cast aside by the academic prodigy. Surely I would weep. My hand trembled as I gripped my pen. As the relentless chatter enveloped me, I instinctively hunched my shoulders, feeling as though ants were crawling over my skin. It was utterly unbearable. I had previously cautioned Fu Huai about revealing our childhood connection, yet it was he who insisted on binding us together. Yet, the ridicule fell squarely upon me, simply because of my perceived dullness in contrast to his brilliance. Suddenly, Fu Huai slammed his palm on the desk, surveying the room with a chilling glare. "Who dares to utter another word about Xiaojiji?" An immediate silence fell upon our surroundings. Bai Wei, dissatisfied, swung her long, fair legs over the edge of Fu Huai's desk, nudging him with her knee in an impatient manner. "Fu Huai, do you want me to sit next to you, or not? I will only ask this once. If you don't respond, I'll leave. Look around. So many want to be my deskmate." She tilted her chin, and the boys nearby looked on with keen interest. Fu Huai's gaze lingered on her slender legs for a moment, his throat bobbing slightly as he smirked. "I already have a deskmate. I cannot change that. However, you may sit in front of me. Too, I naturally emanate a sweet fragrance, which Fu Huai seems to enjoy, often leaning against me. Even in class, he would occasionally rest his head on my shoulder. My cheeks would burn with embarrassment as I whispered, "Fu Huai, the teacher is here." He would turn away to focus on his work, quickly resuming his composure. However, once Bai Wei occupied the seat in front of us, everything changed. With her high ponytail and long, graceful neck illuminated under the harsh fluorescent lights, she seemed to radiate an ethereal glow. Fu Huai would often find himself distracted, resting his chin on his hand, lost in thought throughout the entire lesson. After class, Bai Wei would turn to him to discuss problems, and they would sit closely together. Sometimes, her long hair would inadvertently brush against his face, causing his ears to turn a deep shade of crimson. On the way home from school, he remarked to me, "Bai Wei is far too flirty, flaunting her looks and flirting with every boy she meets. I prefer our little Xiaojiji, who is much more reserved." Yet, when I found myself grappling with a particularly challenging problem for days on end, seeking Fu Huai's assistance, he would remain entranced by the vacant desk in front of him, coldly pushing me away. "You're so slow, even if I teach you for an entire afternoon. You likely wouldn't grasp it. Others have questions for me as well. Can't you just look it up on your phone?" I had attempted to photograph the problems with my phone, but I still couldn't comprehend them. Pressing my lips together, I insisted, "Fu Huai, I've been studying this problem for several days. I'm sure you can explain it to me in a way I will understand. Just give me one explanation. And if I still don't get it, I want to ask again. Before I could finish, he had already darted out of the room like an arrow, heading straight for the slender figure in the corridor. Bai Wei, clad in a crisp white shirt and a lovely pleated skirt, looked enchanting as the wind caught her hem. Fu Huai instinctively moved closer, effectively blocking her from view. I stood there, stunned, acutely aware of the taunting glint in Bai Wei's eyes before my line of sight was completely obscured. She was doing it on purpose. Oh. Is the little childhood sweetheart about to cry? I told you Fu Huai surely likes Bai Wei, but you didn't believe me. What will you do without Fu Huai? Being so slow? Why not sit with me instead? I'm ranked third in the entire department, not that much worse than Fu Huai, you know? A hand reached out to pull me back. Wu Hao was staring at my chest with a condescending attitude. I quickly recoiled, accidentally bumping into the corner of a desk. In an unavoidable moment, a bottle of cola came crashing down. Wu Hao yelped in pain, clutching his hand as he curled up on the floor. A tall, brooding youth approached from the back row, his expression cold as he delivered a heavy kick to Wu Hao. Get lost. Don't block the way. Wu Hao scrambled away, and I swallowed hard, gathering my belongings to leave. Suddenly, someone tapped on my desk. Which problem do you not understand? I froze, following the finger to the strikingly handsome face of Zhao Yu. What did you say? Zhao Yu's ears flushed crimson. Clearing his throat, he repeated, I asked you. Which problem do you not understand? I can help you with it. 3. Fu Huai is the top student in our department, while Zhao Yu ranks second. However, Zhao Yu is known for his rebellious streak, frequently getting into fights, skipping classes, and possessing a notoriously short temper, marked by a menacing scar at the corner of his eye. Nearly everyone fears him, and I am no exception. I typically try to avoid him while passing through the back row. However, with only 2 weeks remaining until finals, I find myself desperate to maintain my GPA for graduate school applications. Yet, I still cannot solve the final complex math problem. Fu Huai has refused to assist me any further. If I don't study now, I truly will run out of time. Summoning my courage, I approached Zhao Yu in the back row. He sat alone, his desk spacious enough for me to take a seat beside him. Surprisingly, when he began to explain the problem, he was not intimidating in the least. His voice was soothing and melodic, devoid of any impatience. Moreover, his teaching style differed significantly from Fu Huai's. Fu Huai spoke rapidly, often leaving me overwhelmed before I could grasp the next step, while Zhao Yu deliberately slowed his pace, breaking down the problem step by step. After just one explanation, I understood 90% of it, diligently correcting my mistakes with a red pen. Lifting my head, I smiled brightly at him, my eyes sparkling. Zhao Yu, I've got it. Thank you. Zhao Yu smirked in response, no problem. I couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps his face had flushed even deeper, his ears almost appearing as though they might bleed from embarrassment. 4. The physical education teacher was absent, and instead of practicing Tai Chi, we were free to engage in activities of our choosing. I opted to retreat to the self-study room, where I found Fu Huai. To my surprise, Zhao Yu was also there, seemingly lost in thought, having chosen not to play basketball today. I took the opportunity to gather my other error notes and decided to seek his guidance. However, my hand was suddenly restrained. Xia Zhizhi. Which problem did you want to ask me about at noon? I have time now to teach you. Fu Huai maintained his usual nonchalant demeanor, attempting to flip through my error notebook. I quickly pressed my hand down. I've already learned it. You can go and enjoy yourself. His movements halted as he scrutinized me with a skeptical gaze. You learned it that quickly, on your own? I initially wanted to mention that I had consulted Zhao Yu, but recalling Zhao Yu's distant demeanor, I shook my head. What if everyone flocked to Zhao Yu for help once they discovered how well he explains problems? That would be too disruptive for him. Besides, I harbored a small selfish desire. If Zhao Yu could continue assisting me exclusively, I would be able to learn so much more. I learned it on my own. I had been studying it for several days, and suddenly it clicked. Fu Huai assessed me thoughtfully for a moment. Then I can help you with other problems. I quickly shook my head. I prefer to figure them out on my own. Fu Huai pressed down hard on the notebook filled with mistakes, his knuckles protruding prominently. He fixed his gaze on me for a moment before letting out a soft, cold laugh. Xia Zhizhi, have you grown wings? If you have the capability, Don't ever ask me anything again. When I explain problems to others in the future, don't let your envy show. I immediately frowned. That simply wouldn't do. Although Zhao Yu explained problems more adeptly, I wasn't familiar with him. What if he changed his mind later and refused to teach me?
Fu Huai.
I tugged at his sleeve, about to plead for reconciliation. Just then, a striking figure appeared at the classroom door. She smiled, and 2 dimples appeared on her right cheek, her small face pale and translucent. Waving her hand, she coquettishly said to Fu Huai, "The teacher asked me to help create some problems, but I'm overwhelmed. Could you lend me a hand?" Her voice was sweet, almost sticky. Without hesitation, Fu Huai picked up his jacket and stepped outside, expertly draping it over her shoulders while frowning. "Don't wear short skirts anymore.
Those boys are all staring at you."
Bai Weiwei playfully lifted his chin, raising an eyebrow. "Are you saying you don't like it?" Fu Huai merely curled his lips, offering no reply. I watched their departing figures, surprisingly feeling no longer pained. Instead, a sense of liberation washed over me. After all, there were no rules stating that childhood friends must become romantic partners. The green plum can seek companionship elsewhere. I exhaled slowly, clutching my notebook, and walked toward the back row, tentatively sitting beside Zhao Yu. He did not protest.
Splendid.
I opened my notebook, hands clasped together. "Zhao, your explanations are marvelous. Could you teach me some more?" Zhao Yu paused in his pen twirling, glanced at me, and smirked. "Are you treating me as free labor?" I was taken aback, feeling as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over me. I hastily jotted down my contact information. "I can transfer you money. Name your price." Zhao Yu tucked the note into his pocket, a subtle smile playing at the corners of his lips. "No need for money. I have a basketball game on Saturday. Just come and bring me water and cheer for me." I hazily recalled that Fu Huai had also mentioned a basketball game, and he had asked me to cheer and bring him water too. I nodded in agreement. Bringing 2 servings was still bringing. Zhao Yu raised an eyebrow. "Only bring it for me." I hesitated for a moment, but nodded vigorously. The one who explains the problems holds the power. Moreover, Bai Weiwei would undoubtedly bring it to Fu Huai. It was perfectly fine for me to bring it just for Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu finally broke into a wide smile. Pulling my notebook toward him, "Which problem shall we start with?" The wind blew in through the window, tousling his slightly long hair, revealing the striking purple ear stud that added an inexplicable touch of mischief to his demeanor. I swallowed hard, my cheeks flushing subtly. Suddenly, I realized that, compared to Zhao Yu, Fu Huai wasn't exceptionally handsome after all. Nor was he as gentle. If only Zhao Yu would be willing to explain problems to me for a lifetime. The remaining problems remained unaddressed when Zhao Yu mentioned that class was about to start. He suggested that if we had more time in the evening, dining together would enhance our efficiency in studying. I pondered for a moment, finding merit in a suggestion, and agreed. Throughout our years in school, Fu Huai and I had always shared meals together. However, with Bai Weiwei's arrival, Fu Huai began to include her. I became an invisible presence, silently trailing behind them. Even if I didn't join them, I assumed I wouldn't be noticed.
Yet,
as I turned to walk in the opposite direction, Fu Huai suddenly grasped my arm. "Xia Zhizhi, what mood are you in? Aren't you eating?" I lowered my gaze. "I want to eat alone today." Fu Huai's expression darkened immediately. Bai Weiwei looped her arm through his, her eyes slightly raised. "Huai. If Zhizhi prefers to eat alone, let her be. Besides." She wrinkled her nose at me and leaned closer to Fu Huai to whisper. Yet her voice was loud enough for the entire classroom to hear. "Zhizhi has some odor. It's like cheap perfume. I can't eat well when I smell it. So we shouldn't bring her along." My face paled instantaneously. Fu Huai frowned and retorted to Bai Weiwei with discontent. "Don't speak about her like that." Afterward, he attempted to pull me closer, but I had already dashed out from the back row. Fu Huai curled his fingertips, his dark eyes fixated on my direction. Lips pressed together as he withdrew his hand. I deliberately delayed taking Zhao Yu to the cafeteria. Unexpectedly, I still encountered Fu Huai and Bai Weiwei. They were walking one behind the other, maintaining some distance. Upon seeing Zhao Yu and me, Fu Huai's brows furrowed fiercely. "Xia Zhizhi, is this what you meant by eating alone? When did you 2 get together?" The air around us grew cold, chilling. Zhao Yu subtly positioned himself in front of me. As he was about to speak, I tugged at his sleeve. He lowered his gaze. I shook my head at him, turning to Fu Huai, striving to maintain my composure. Zhou and I merely crossed paths. We're not familiar. I could feel the tension in Zhou Yu's posture. I bit my lip, guilt gnawing at me. Yet I still distanced myself from Fu Huai. My family and the Fu family had been family friends for generations, not far from the school, and I usually commuted from home. My parents were most concerned about my romantic involvement, even though I was already an adult, and had specifically asked Fu Huai to keep an eye on me. Even though there was nothing between Zhou Yu and me, Fu Huai would surely spread rumors. In my freshman year, Fu Huai had fallen ill and missed class. I had inquired about a question from another boy in class. In my distraction, I lost track of time and intended to head home at 11. When I turned off the classroom lights, Fu Huai, with a fever patch on his forehead and a pale complexion, had hastily thrown on a jacket. He stood outside, eyes red, glaring daggers at the boy behind me as if he were a vengeful spirit. That day, I was punished to kneel all night after returning home. My knees were bruised, and I had to force myself to attend the early morning class the next day. Upon learning that I had simply sought help with a question, Fu Huai stubbornly remarked, "You could have brought the questions to the hospital to ask me, or taken a photo and sent it to me. Why did you have to ask someone else?" From that moment, I understood that communication with him would forever be impossible. Upon hearing my claim of not being familiar, Fu Huai's expression softened somewhat, and he extended his hand. "Since we've met, let's eat together. Come here." I lowered my head, unable to bear looking at Zhou Yu's expression, and quietly walked over. When I finally had to lift my head to get my meal, Zhou Yu had already vanished from sight. I thought to myself that he must dislike me now. Feeling dejected, my mind was elsewhere as I trudged ahead. Suddenly, an unexpected figure stumbled into me, and before I could react, I collided straight into them.
Ah!
Greasy soup splattered all over my pristine, white shirt. Bai Weiwei immediately fell to the ground, her long hair cascading around her. Supporting her waist, she turned back with a pitiful expression. "Xia, classmate, I just wanted to check if you were keeping up." Her eyes were red, lips trembling, as if she had suffered a grave injustice. Fu Huai, tall and long-legged, had already walked ahead. Sensing something was amiss, he turned around, his brows knitting into a deep furrow. He cautiously lifted the hem of her shirt, revealing a ghastly purple bruise on her delicate waist. Bai Weiwei gasped, clutching his hand. "Fu Huai, it hurts." Fu Huai's expression shifted to one of furious indignation as he cast a cold glare in my direction. "Xia Zhiji, what exactly are you trying to do?" Bai Weiwei's skin was naturally delicate. A little pressure would leave marks that wouldn't heal for weeks. "Stop causing trouble, will you?" I stared at him, my hands trembling around the food tray. Yet I grasped the flaw in his words. "How do you know that Bai Weiwei's skin leaves marks with just a little pressure?" Fu Huai was taken aback by my inquiry, momentarily frozen in place. Whispers began to circulate among the onlookers, casting curious and ambiguous glances at Bai Weiwei. Wasn't Fu Huai the top student? Bai Weiwei seemed to be in the top 10 as well. Had they become a couple? Who would have thought that the campus belle, seemingly innocent, would be so frivolous behind the scenes? Yet, with her daily attire of ultra-short skirts, she certainly had an air of recklessness. Bai Weiwei's face instantly drained of color, her eyes glistening with unshed tears as she sought refuge behind Fu Huai, tugging at his shirt with a choked voice. "Please, make them stop talking." Fu Huai, evidently taken aback by the turn of events, displayed a complexion that oscillated between ashen and flushed. "Xia Zhiji, have you even learned to spread rumors?" He retorted. "Whether it's a rumor or not, you all know in your hearts." With that statement, I turned to leave. I had not spread any rumors. It had been half a month since Fu Huai had ceased to return home with me. Moreover, Bai Weiwei's arms, thighs, and neck bore inexplicable red marks, and the glances exchanged between them were laced with ambiguity. Fu Huai seemed to believe that his silence would mask everything, but in truth, I was fully aware. I simply chose not to voice it. The meal was ruined. I ordered takeout at the school gate, savoring it at a leisurely pace before returning to the classroom, only to find books strewn across the floor. Raising my gaze, I realized it was my usual seat. Silently, I approached to gather the scattered books. A white shoe brushed against my hand, then brutally crushed a yellow assignment book underfoot. "Xia Zhiji, apologize to Weiwei, or go sit elsewhere." I remained silent as I tucked another book under my arm. It was merely an assignment book. If it was soiled, I would discard it. Fu Huai abruptly lifted me up. Do you know what moving means? There's only room in the back. You'll have to sit beside Zhao Yu. Do you want him to beat you to a pulp? During our specialized classes, our class was confined to a small classroom with one extra seat, leaving only Zhao Yu's side available. The thought of Zhao Yu made my eyelashes flutter. Right, he probably wouldn't want to sit with me now. I hesitated as whispers surrounded me. Xia Zhiji is going to sit with Zhao Yu? That's practically a death sentence. Who doesn't know Zhao Yu despises girls? Especially those who wear perfume? With Xia Zhiji's fragrant presence, she's surely doomed. I had once witnessed a girl confessing to Zhao Yu. He tore her love letter to shreds in front of her, even declaring she smelled foul, threatening to hit her if she came too close. That girl fainted on the spot, and I had to call for an ambulance. Heavenly deities, when I held that girl, I could smell the latest Dior rose fragrance she wore. So sweet it made me want to hold her forever. What was so foul about it? Not just girls. He treated boys the same. When I sat beside him, I was shocked glares for the slightest noise, leaving me with a kind of PTSD. Now that I wasn't by his side, I was still treading carefully. If I were Xia Zhiji, I would apologize immediately, distancing myself from that harbinger of doom. Fu Huai smirked, suddenly releasing me with an expression of determination. Wei Wei is right. You do have quite the scent, perfectly suited to sit next to Zhao Yu. Xia Zhiji. Apologizing now won't help. I've come to understand that unless you see what other boys are like, you'll never realize how well I treat you. He personally moved my belongings next to Zhao Yu. Just as class was about to begin, he cornered me against the wall, whispering, if he bullies you, just tell me. I won't stand idly by, as long as you're willing to apologize. I fluttered my eyelashes, evading him and returning to my seat. Zhao Yu didn't attend a single class that day. He had skipped again. Although I didn't harbor the delusion that it was because of me, a twinge of guilt lingered in my heart. The next day at school, I brought him a bottle of strawberry-flavored milk. I noticed a plethora of that flavor in his desk drawer. Throughout the entire morning, Zhao Yu was absent from class, leaving the whole class somewhat disappointed, including Fu Huai and Bai Weiwei, all of whom awaited my misfortune. I felt anxious, uncertain how angry Zhao Yu truly was, or if I could placate him. The afternoon brought a basketball match, so Zhao Yu would definitely show up. I forced myself to stay awake during lunch break. Just as my eyelids began to droop, a figure appeared before me. Clad in a black number 13 jersey, his muscular frame resembled a series of rolling hills, each muscle distinctly defined. His expression was cold and stoic, akin to ice. He didn't even glance at the bottle of milk, and instead retrieved a pristine towel from his desk. Turning to leave, summoning my courage, I grasped his hand. He halted in his tracks. I've never cheered for anyone before. Will you teach me how? My cheeks burned with heat, and my trembling hand only added to my nervousness. I'll shout loudly. I promise I won't embarrass you. Noticing Zhao Yu's lack of response, I opened my mouth again, only to have a strawberry-flavored lollipop shoved into my mouth. The sweet aroma instantly filled my senses. And as I licked it in a daze, I found myself being led out of the classroom by Zhao Yu. He guided me downstairs to the lounge. Upon entering, he locked the door behind us, pinning me against the wall. I accidentally bit down on the lollipop, causing me to stutter. Zhao Yu. He lowered his gaze to study me for a moment before a slight smirk graced his lips. What's wrong? Afraid I might devour you? I shook my head vigorously. He pressed his forehead against mine, his breath heavy. Weren't you going to help me cheer? I need to warm up before the game. There are some muscles I can't reach. Could you assist me, With a flushed face, I exited the lounge, taking my designated seat in the front row. By then, they had already taken the court, with Zhao Yu positioned in the center, towering over the others. Dribbling the ball, his gaze fixed on me. My legs trembled, and I quickly averted my eyes, only to inadvertently collide with another pair of deep, dark eyes. Fu Huai, similarly clad in black athletic gear, sat on a bench, flashing me a knowing smile. The boy beside him, slightly shorter, nudged Fu Huai's shoulder. Brother Fu, who are you looking at? Your sister-in-law?
Fu Huai's smile widened.
Unabashedly nodding, indeed. Bai Weiwei? Fu Huai scoffed. Bai Weiwei is merely a fleeting distraction. I never intended to be with her. I didn't even tell her about the game. I merely wished to see Xia Zhiji cheer for me. Wait, you really like Xia Zhiji? Didn't you two argue at noon? Fu Huai nodded towards the center of the front row. Isn't she here to make amends? Even without watching the match, I knew it would be a rout. It was essentially a showdown between Zhao Yu and Fu Huai, with Zhao Yu preventing the opposing team from even touching the ball. Once the game concluded, nearly everyone flocked to him. I seldom found myself in such lively gatherings and, after a moment's hesitation, was pushed to the outskirts. Unable to squeeze in, the crowd was overwhelming. Even though Zhao Yu was tall, he was completely engulfed by the throng. Just as despair began to wash over me, my bottle of water was suddenly snatched from my grasp. Fu Huai effortlessly twisted off the cap and gulped down a mouthful. Glancing at the bottle, his eyes lit up. His large hand affectionately pressed down on my head. You know I like drinking by Suishan, Xiajiji. How much better it would have been had you admitted your mistake earlier. I wouldn't have forced you to sit with Zhao Yu. He has been giving you a hard time, right? Just wait. Tomorrow I'll help you move your books back. I wriggled free from his grasp, staring at the nearly crumpled water bottle, feeling on the verge of tears. Fu Huai, that water wasn't even for you. Why didn't you ask before drinking? Now Zhao Yu would surely be angry again. I hadn't even managed to make amends for the last incident. With a crunch, the water bottle was entirely crushed. Fu Huai's dark gaze bore down on me. What did you say? She said that bottle of water wasn't meant for you, didn't you hear? Zhao Yu pulled me into his embrace. The warmth radiating from his body was palpable, causing me to shiver. Zhao Yu, that bottle of water was originally for you. I'm sorry. Please don't be angry. I'll buy you a new one, okay? He lowered his gaze to meet mine, an unmistakable glimmer of amusement in his eyes. I know. I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. The cacophony of voices around us felt as though they had been muted. After a long moment, someone finally exclaimed, "Did I just see that correctly?" Zhao Yu smiled, and astonishingly, he agreed to let Xiajiji buy him some water. Wasn't he the type to refuse others' offerings? I had thought that sitting together with Zhao Yu would lead to her demise. When exactly did they become close? The way Zhao Yu gazed at Xiajiji was undeniably affectionate. Surely, this signified his fondness for her. As the murmurs around us intensified, Fu Huai's handsome face darkened considerably. His bloodshot eyes bore into me, filled with palpable fury.
Xiajiji.
Repeat what you just said. Zhao Yu scoffed. Only those lacking in ability would resort to coercing others. Fu, the coach is calling for you. I strongly suggest you make your way over, I advised. Fu Huai's expression shifted slightly. It was evident to all that during the final match, as Zhao Yu seized the ball, Fu Huai dashed forward in an effort to snatch it, resulting in a collision. The ball fell and was swiftly taken by the opposing team. Although victory was already assured, such incidents on the court invariably drew penalties from the coach. Reluctantly,
Fu Huai departed.
Meanwhile, I found myself being drawn into the dim, secluded corner of the teaching building by Zhao Yu. This was the experimental building, typically deserted except during class hours. With the basketball game taking place today, the area was even more desolate. Zhao Yu pinned me against the narrow, shadowy corridor, my legs feeling somewhat unsteady. Zhao Yu, I murmured. Don't move. Let me inhale your scent, he replied, leaning down into the crook of my neck, practically draping himself over me. He inhaled deeply, his erratic breathing sending shivers down my spine. You smell delightful. My eyes brimmed with unshed tears, and in a fluster, I gently pushed him away. Zhao Yu, I'll go buy you a fresh bottle of water. No need, he replied, producing a bottle of strawberry milk from his coat, as if by magic. It was the very bottle I had placed in the desk's compartment. I widened my eyes in surprise. When did you take that? I hadn't even noticed. He chuckled softly, leaning closer to whisper in my ear, when you weren't paying attention. I'm lactose intolerant, but I suppose having half should be fine. How about this? I drink half and you drink half. His voice was slightly husky. Xiajiji, what the hell are you doing here with him?
Bang!
A can of cola collided with the wall, bursting open. Zhao Yu instinctively wrapped his arm around my waist to shield me from the impending attack, but a few droplets still splattered across his face. I froze, glancing past Zhao Yu to see Fu Huai standing at the corridor's entrance. The light fluctuated, casting shadows that deepened the gloom of his expression. He crumpled the can in his hand, gritting his teeth. I'll count to 3. You better come over here. I remained unmoved. He swiftly pulled out his phone and snapped a picture. If you don't come over, I will send this photo to your parents. Do you know what will happen then? His voice softened, his hands trembling. Just come over and tell me you have nothing to do with him, and I'll believe you. Delete the photo immediately. Be a good girl. It felt as if the cafeteria scene had replayed itself. Zhao Yu's grip on my waist loosened slightly as he regarded me with an air of calm curiosity, seemingly eager to see how I would respond. My fingers curled instinctively. My knees throbbed with a dull ache. The dread of being unjustly accused by my parents, facing their wrath for an entire night, enveloped me like an impenetrable web. But this time, I firmly grasped Zhao Yu's hand. Zhao Yu is my friend. You can take the photo, but if you spread any more rumors, we won't even be friends anymore. Summoning my courage, I finished my proclamation and pulled Zhao Yu along as we strode out.
Fu Huai stood frozen in place.
His eyes slowly reddening, his shoulders drooping. As we brushed past him, he seized my other hand tightly. Repeat what you just said. Are you really going to sever ties with me because of him? Zhao Yu effortlessly extricated me from Fu Huai's grasp. He flexed his wrist and delivered a sharp punch to Fu Huai's face, watching as bruises appeared on his handsome visage. With a languid smile, he held my hand.
Fu.
Self-awareness is a virtue. To voluntarily play the fool is rather excessive, wouldn't you say? I engaged in a silent standoff with Fu Huai for 2 weeks, almost as if by design. During meals, on the way to and from school, while fetching water, and in class, I continuously encountered him in affectionate proximity to Bai Weiwei. Each time, I feigned ignorance and sidestepped him. I had assumed that our relationship would gradually fade away, until the last exam of the semester, when Fu Huai cornered me. He appeared somewhat impatient. Xia Zhiji, stop being stubborn. My relationship with Bai Weiwei is merely playful, not serious. My eyelashes fluttered as I raised my gaze to meet his. Do you think I'm sulking? Fu Huai's eyes widened in surprise. Then he smirked. You have Zhao Yu help you with your studies, share meals with him, and deliver water. Waiting for him after class. Aren't you trying to make me jealous? I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. Fu Huai and I had grown up together. From kindergarten through middle and high school, all within the same institution. To claim that I had no feelings for him would be an outright lie. He was clever. While I struggled with my studies, I had sacrificed sleep, averaging only 4 hours each night for the past 3 years, all to ensure we would attend the same university. Yet, after Bai Weiwei's arrival, that obsession seemed to have slowly dissipated, replaced by a budding aversion. I sought Zhao Yu's help because of his gentle and meticulous nature, and I delivered water to express my gratitude. Waiting for him after class was. My gaze suddenly caught sight of a figure standing behind Fu Huai with hands tucked into his pockets, and I fell silent, my face inexplicably warm. In any case, my relationship with Zhao Yu is none of your concern. Fu Huai's expression shifted to a mix of crimson and pallor, culminating in a derisive laugh.
Fine, Xia Zizi.
You better remain this bold forever. Never regret it. After Fu Huai stormed off, I remained rooted to the spot. A tall figure loomed overhead, causing my legs to weaken. Zhao Yu lifted me effortlessly. What was your reason for waiting for him after class, My ears flushed. Let me guess, you like me, right? My mind erupted like fireworks, my heart tumultuous as my feelings were laid bare. I closed my eyes about to confess, only to have my lips silenced by a long finger. I was the one who liked you first, so I should be the one to speak up. Zhao Yu inhaled deeply. Xia, I have been observing you for quite some time. Since the beginning of our first year, when I helped you move your things. Do you recall? At that moment, I thought to myself, this girl smells delightful. It would be wonderful if she could be my girlfriend. So, Xia Zhiji, will you be my girlfriend? Suddenly, my thoughts drifted back to that autumn a year ago. Fu Huai arrived a day late to school, and while I was flustered and alone, a tall boy wearing a black mask brushed past me. At that moment, emboldened by an unknown courage, I grasped the edge of his clothing. Excuse me, do you know where the registration office is? He turned, towering over me with an indifferent gaze, his demeanor gloomy. My heart raced and I quickly released my grip, ready to apologize, but he had already taken my luggage from my hands. I'll take you there. That entire afternoon, he stayed beside me, clarifying all my doubts. I had always regretted not having asked for his contact information that day.
Little did I know it was Zhao Yu.
On the way home, I felt dazed, unable to believe that I had just entered into a romantic relationship. A few hundred meters from my house, Zhao Yu halted, gazing down at our intertwined hands. He tightened his grip, then released it. Aren't your parents against you dating? I won't come any closer. I'll just watch you from here. My cheeks flushed, and I nodded, dashing home. Upon entering, I immediately sensed an unusual atmosphere. In the center of the living room stood a washing board, with a long bamboo board on the table. My parents wore expressions of fury, while Fu Huai sat on the sofa. As our eyes met, his flickered, and he turned away. Smack! My father slammed the bamboo board onto the table, pointing a stern finger at me. Xia Jiji, how dare you return? Embracing other men in public, have you not been made aware of the consequences? How can you hold your head high before Fu Huai, or face your uncle and aunt? Come here and kneel. For the next few days, remain indoors and reflect upon your actions while kneeling at home. The washboard was kicked towards me, causing me to flinch in fear. Fu Huai furrowed his brow and rose to intervene. Uncle, please, do not be so enraged. She was merely deceived by those boys outside. I do not hold her accountable. He then turned his piercing gaze towards me, urging, Gigi, quickly apologize to your uncle, delete Zhao Yu from your contacts, and we shall pretend that nothing has transpired. My father glared at me, exclaiming, look how good Fu is to you. Even in such a situation, he still speaks on your behalf. It is a blessing that you have won his affection. Indeed, it is a blessing. I forced a smile, rummaged through my backpack, and pulled out a plethora of photographs, scattering them upon the floor. My father frowned. What are these? Is this your attitude towards acknowledging your mistakes? I pointed at the floor. Evidence of Fu Huai's rendezvous with others. Fu Huai's expression darkened, and he immediately attempted to gather the photographs. However, there were too many. My parents had already picked some up to examine, their faces turning ashen. After witnessing Fu Huai catch me with Zhao Yu in the cafeteria, I had become more vigilant. Each time Fu Huai displayed affection towards Bai Weiwei, I deliberately made sure to be present, capturing photographs and making backups, all in anticipation of this day. My father, trembling with rage, shot a fierce glare at Fu Huai before pulling out his phone to call Fu's family. I wished to distance myself from any matters concerning Fu Huai and intended to venture out to discuss travel plans with Zhao Yu, but Fu Huai clutched my arm tightly, as though grasping a lifeline, his nails digging into my flesh. I have already broken up with Bai Weiwei. I assure you, there will be nothing between us again. Gigi, please forgive me. He adopted a submissive demeanor, enveloping me in his arms. Did you not once profess your affection for me? After the college entrance examination, you declared your feelings for me, Xia Gigi. Is your affection so cheap that it can change at a whim? You see, even now. He continues to deflect blame onto me. Disappointment washed over my face as I forcefully pushed him away. Fu Huai, it is not my feelings that are cheap, but you. Could you kindly keep your distance? You are truly repulsive. The Fu family arrived promptly, before my parents. They administered 20 lashes to Fu Huai and made him kneel for an entire day. Only when my parents calmed down did they take their disheveled son home. As for me, I had regained the privilege to step outside and date. However, my father mandated that I bring my boyfriend home for an introduction. He was evidently frightened by Fu Huai's behavior, fearing I might engage with someone equally unsuitable. I remained non-committal. After all, Fu Huai was the son-in-law he had chosen for himself. Every day at home, I received an array of gifts: milk, bracelets, rings, and jade bangles. All items I had once cherished. Each time I mentioned them to Fu Huai, he would merely smile it off, but now, their reappearance felt somewhat tiresome. I requested my father to return those gifts, eagerly anticipating my first trip with Zhao Yu. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the day of our journey arrived. Zhao Yu waited for me downstairs bright and early. After gathering my belongings, I dashed down. He greeted me with a smile that mirrored our first meeting, taking my luggage with ease. This time, he also took my hand in his. I grasped it tightly, our fingers intertwined. The brilliant sunlight cast a golden hue over the world. This summer, we would escape together.
The end.
Thank you for listening. I look forward to our next story.